Hey YouTube, Rando here. So we've been playing around with this for the past few hours and started making these little nuggets out of Fatwood. All we did was take like Fatwood powder. You can just take a knife and just take a piece of Fatwood and do that, and you see that little fine powder that comes off. That's more or less what we used. But I got a pencil sharpener, like an older school pencil sharpener, and this thing makes really fine shavings. It's not like it doesn't shave like a pencil sharpener. It like pulverizes it, like powderized it. Anyways, then we took the powder and put it inside of a cellophane and just molded it to the bottom of the cellophane. Just kind of squeezed it together, made a tube of it, took one and made a little ball out of it. And as long as it's fresh, or fresher Fatwood, I shouldn't say fresh, as long as it's good Fatwood, has a high resin content, it'll hold itself together. That resin inside of it will kind of bind it together. And then, but I noticed if you took it and kept dropping it a bunch of times, it would start cracking and it would fall into pieces. So I wanted to try to find a way to keep them together. So what I did was I melted some wax in the old candle warmer there. That's the old candle warmer. That's the one I have to use now. My wife won't let me use the big pretty castle anymore, but it's cool. But I just had about that much wax down in there, not a lot, just enough to kind of be able to roll it around in there. And I dipped both ends and then just rolled them in there. And this was actually a tube, and I cut it in half before I dipped it in the wax, and it stayed together fairly well just from the resin. But now it has like a hard coating on it. You don't want to drench it in wax because you don't want the Fatwood inside of it to have any wax on it. The wax is pretty much just to bind it together on the outside. Let me show you what you end up with. And one of these would probably be good for 2 fires. But you can just kind of crack it open and see the wax is just like on the outside, right? And you could probably use a knife and stick it in there and twist it and get this done real quick. That's what you end up with right there. It's a little pile of Fatwood. Let's see if I can do this on camera. It was lighting pretty easy. There we go. And it burns for a really long time. That wax actually extends it for a little bit. There's some other ones we were playing with, and just took a cotton bandage, not an actual like gauze bandage, but just like a padded bandage, this stuff right here, and tore a big piece of it off and then folded it together. And I soaked up the rest of the wax that was in there, and I made 3 of them, and we burned one, and they burned really, really well. You can see that stuff's going pretty good. There we go. It burns for a while. I haven't actually timed it or anything, but you probably get at least a couple minutes of burn on it. Good, burns for a while. That's going to be it for this one. Thanks for watching, YouTube.